Hello and welcome back to Dark Souls 3. This is part 5 of our Halberd run. And the last time we went through Cathedral of the Deep. Though there is this one final door near the end. Like I said, this is it's a lot more difficult than the rest of the area. And it's very, 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 very easy to die. Because there is a point where you have to fight multiple cathedral knights, and you have basically no space to move. Also, if you look down and to the right, you can see arc shadow, but not the shadow of the ladder or wall. And I just think that's a little funny. Also, this guy doesn't attack you. And I have a bit of a rule against attacking enemies or attacking anything that I don't have a reason to attack. Now, he does drop a ring that gets you an extra attunement slot, but we're not using magic, so he gets to live. This little waffle right here doesn't, though. He can die. And so can this guy. There we go. People talk about the delayed attacks of Elden Ring. Look at that massive combo, though. Mind you, that can be one attack, or it can be 7. And it all depends on, do you stay close to them? But sometimes it doesn't depend on if you stay close to them. Because sometimes you can stay close to them, but it's only 2 attacks. Sometimes you can stay close to them, but it's only 3 attacks. Sometimes you can stay close to them, but it's 4 attacks. It just depends on how they feel that day. And it is extremely inconsistent. But anyways, something died before them, and Flamberge. So that's good to sell, because it's not a halberd, which means we can't use it. I also believe it's a strength weapon, which we're not guaranteed to go into strength, because we're looking towards, I believe, Lucerne, which is more of a quality weapon, and more things to sell. Nope. Nope. Don't question reality, just keep moving. Now, oh, that one shot, so it's nice. But I mentioned it in the previous part. I'm doing these recordings on PC, but the Souls games play much better with a controller, so I'm playing with a controller. And for these, like, unedited runs, I tend to do 1 a day. And so I did 1 yesterday. But okay. But something weird that happened was part 1, I tried to use a controller, went totally fine. Part 2, tried to use a controller, totally fine. Part 3, try to use a controller, totally fine. Part 4, try to use a controller, totally fine. Absolutely no issues. But here, it just did not want to work. And I spent... Ow. I spent a good, like, 10-ish minutes Oh, I didn't know that would do 2 attacks. Okay. Whew. I kind of forgot how to fight you guys. But anyways, so I have like a cord that I plug in, Bless Gem, to the PC and then to the controller. And it's a very long cord, so there's no restrictions like that. And it keeps the controller charged, so I don't need to worry about it running low on battery. But I had to, like, I plugged it in again. Literally yesterday, it worked perfectly fine. But today, tried plugging it in, didn't work. Had to unplug it, plug it back in, still didn't work. Unplugged it from the PC side, plugged it back in, didn't work. Had to open Steam and try it on, like, try it in Steam. Worked on Steam, and then without changing anything whatsoever, opened Dark Souls 3 again, and it worked. And I also closed and opened Dark Souls 3 before. That was the second thing that I did. And so unplugging it from my controller didn't work. Unplugging it from the PC didn't work. Closing Dark Souls 3 and reopening Dark Souls 3 didn't work. But opening Steam and doing literally nothing else worked. Again, didn't change any settings, didn't do anything, never had to open Steam before. It was just very strange. Oh. I typically like to lure them back over there where I fought the first guy, because you accidentally roll slightly to the side, you die. Whereas over there you have some room to move. And they can also fall off, which is an easy death. But over on this side, if you look down, there's one spot where you can fall. And then another spot where you can fall. If you went to Irithyll first, you can get something called the Silver Cat Ring. Very good. Now this is the bridge that we went across, and then Patches pulled the lever to send it down, even though he was on that side and the lever's on this side. But anyways, here's Patches.
Huh? Yes, hello. Oh, I don't believe we've met. I'm Patches. Unbreakable Patches. You seem to be unkindled. Do you have business with me? Oh, yes, of course. It's coming back to me now. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my hand, as you know. But the deed, well, that was the armor's doing. Regrettable, truly. But behold, I'm stripped clean of that unruly attire. And look at you. Not a scratch. All's well that ends well, right? Yes, we'll be fine. I can tell. It's that rotten curse. It is. The untidy mess. Oh, yes. Now, it wasn't me, but you still deserve an apology. Just a little trinket. Go ahead. It's yours now. You should know, I'm a kind of travelling merchant. If you're as unkindled as you look, you'll find plenty of good stuff.
Alright. So now he's a merchant. And he sells the Katarina set. But I would highly suggest getting the Katarina set. So we got 3, 4, so that'd be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's like 15k. It will be very important for a quest. You can probably guess whose quest. But he also sells a black leather set. Very nice looking. Not super defensive, but it's pretty lightweight, so good if you're going with very low vitality, or if you're going with very heavy weaponry. He also sells poison arrows, which is neat.
Can't find anything you like? Well, you could try looking a little harder.
I remember it was a long time ago, long before I started recording, but I did do a bow run once. Might do it again, might record a bow run. Because it was a fun challenge. And poison arrows were pretty useful. They definitely weren't my most used arrows because wood arrows and standard arrows both got the job done. And they were much, much cheaper. Like, wood arrows are 5 souls apiece. And standard arrows are 10 apiece. Whereas poison arrows, if I remember correctly, are like 120 apiece. So, only really useful if you don't think you can take something on. Now this thing... Well, first of all, it's non-hostile, so we can let it live. 2, it drops the red sign soapstone, which is kind of like the red eye orb, but red eye orb lets you go into people's worlds to invade them without really their consent, whereas red sign soapstone is kind of like a summon sign, but for PvP. So the enemies, like the people you're going to invade, need to consensually and knowingly go after that. But if you beat Kirk in the invasion, you can get the Armor of Thorns here, and we have nothing. Oof. You can respec with them. I am not going to do that. You generally don't want to interact with them unless you're willing to ruin some quests. But I'm gonna head off to Farron Keep because that's what we're gonna be doing for today. It shouldn't be that bad. Like, Farron Keep is definitely easier than the area we just did. At least easier than the rafter section. Which... it might not seem like the rafter section was bad at all there, but that was an extremely kind rafter section. I don't know why it was so nice, but we will take it. Now there's a handful of things immediately off to the left here. Like the stone parma. the rotten fine resin if you like consumables. But most importantly, behind this dark wraith, you can sneak past it if you want. Or you can kill it. What are they gonna do? Just keep a bit of a distance. Dark sword is nice, we can sell that. But you can get Sage's Coal behind them. If you're not comfortable fighting them, or if you're not confident fighting them, again, you can just walk, because that does work. And then you can just run on back here. How much do you give? 66, okay. We probably should be killing them because we need to get Siegmeyer or Siegward set. He's Siegward in this game. But the coal we just picked up allows you to use Crystal, which is magic damage skills with intelligence. There's Blessed, which skills with faith. And then there's Dark. I don't know what that scales with. Possibly Luck? I don't know. I've never used a dark weapon. But the main thing this is good for is Blessed, because Blessed weapon, like, we just pick up a Blessed gem up in the rafter section, and a Blessed weapon, like, if you hold a weapon in your hands and it's infused with a Blessed gem, it will slowly heal you, which is very, very nice. And if you pair it with some other self-healing stuff, it can really let you cut down on Estus use. And my default build for this game kind of revolves around that. But here, there's a flame we can extinguish. There are 3 of these total. And deeper into Farron Keep, there's gonna be a big door. And there's 3 of those little braziers. And you need to light all 3 to get it into that section. So we gotta do that in order to progress. Extinguish 3 flames and open the door to Wolf's Blood. That's what sad Mopey McGee was telling us about back in Firelink. And more items that we can sell because I'm not gonna use them. Now, when we went left and got Sage's Coal, if you had continued going along the wall, you would have ended up here. And these things are dangerous because they can jump. And we don't want them to jump, because that does damage. But here there's a Titanite shard. There's more stuff over that way. Like that item above our head there is the Great Sword, which is an Ultra Great Sword. And another Titanite Shard. If you go left over there, then you'll find 3 of those things. I don't know what the game calls them. I call them Swamp Vicar Amelias. Because they look like Vicar Amelia from Bloodborne, just as a swamp variant. But here's the second brazier. Now from here, things get a bit tricky. Because the obvious way to go is here, but that means going across this small bridge with 2 grooves that have spears and shields, and then 1 groove that spews poison. But if you can get your way through them, you can get a bonfire. The second way to go is down here. Have a good chunk of distance between you and the Swamp Vicar Amelias, and you can pick up a magic scroll for sorceries, and you can continue along the right, and there's a few more items there, and then you can make your way over and around to get the bonfire. Or you can do what I do, and that's head through the poison swamp, through the bog, through the muck. And here's the greatsword. Despite being called the greatsword, it is actually an ultra greatsword. Not entirely sure. I mean, technically Ultra Great Sword is a great sword in a sense. Just more, but Great Sword is what I'd call like the Claymore. But here we're sticking to the right because there's another Swamp Vicar Amelia. And I like to go around this tree because you can roll up this part and then you can walk and they mostly ignore you. But here's the third flame that we can extinguish. And doing that gets us all 3 flames, and that opens this door. This is why I go this way. Because it is, in my opinion, the easiest way by quite a bit to get this third brazier. Because if you don't do that, then your other choices would be from the first bonfire go straight forward into the muck, which is a lot of empty space, or to go from the second bonfire, the one that we saw but didn't light, and to slowly make your way around. Yeah. But down there, if you're embered, you will get invaded by Yellowfinger Hazel. And the reason why going around from the second bonfire sucks so much is because down there are basilisks, the thing that give you curse and one-shot you. There's also more bog poison, which slows you down. And there's also a swamp vicar Amelia. So you have to deal with bog poison slowing you down. You have to deal with being poisoned. You have to deal with a bog vicar Amelia. You have to deal with this schmuck. And you have to deal with basilisks who can effectively one-shot you. So it's like, if you go the other way, there's just so much that you have to deal with all at once. Whereas if you go the way I went, then you can deal with Yellowfinger Hazel. Killing him gets you his pick, which is, I believe, a hammer that can also be used as a catalyst. You also get his crown. And yeah, there's some basilisks over there. If you leave from the first bonfire and immediately go right, you'll end up here. Okay. Yeah, like I said, just... if you go the other way, there's so much to deal with all at once. And it's just too much of a hassle. And it's too easy to get killed. Yeah, see, Swamp Vicar Amelia. Not that way. This way. This being a 3-shot does not inspire a lot of confidence. This is plus... yeah, it's +3. Alright. Well, if you just go to where the basilisks are, then you should be able to find this cave entrance, which gets you the golden scroll and the antiquated set. So golden scroll is another sorcery thing. It allows you to get some of Ulasil's sorceries. But from there, you just continue on the right, and pretty soon, you'll find the door with the 3 braziers, and opposite of that, you will find this incline section, and going up the incline section, the bonfire. So there's a few more things we want to do while we're here. The first of which is to head off this way. There's a few of these small basic enemies, and then there's a thick bog area and a big crab. You want to keep your eyes on the crab and just keep backing up towards the tree. killing them, you get lingering Dragon Crest Ring. And there's also the Crown of Dusk by the tree. But yeah, I don't know where exactly he is from here, but this guy, like, with every white birch, he shoots to help you out as long as you're his friend. And every single time he hits the giant crab, it knocks it down and lets you get a critical attack off. Which is very, very helpful. Or you can just keep avoiding the crab. Both of those work. But from there, as long as you just keep following this right wall, ow. So rude. But you follow the right wall, you'll end up here. And you take these enemies out, and you get Sage's Scroll for more sorceries. And if you keep following the right wall, there's the Vicar Amelia's. So I've heard some people say that this area is super complicated and really easy to get lost in. But it's not too complicated. All you have to do is have just have one consistent path in mind. Like, this is mine. And it works. But if you're super confused and it seems too complicated, you can just follow the path that goes above the poison. You do have to get through that chokehold, but it works. Or you can follow the left wall, or you can follow the right wall. They will both, all three of those options will get you to where you need to go. But you head down the incline, and there's this right section with all these little gloop guys, the little slugs. That spew poison. Or whatever it is that they spew. I don't think it's poison, but muck. But you take them out and you can get an undead bone shard. Again, that increases your Estus healing. So you get more heal per sip. And then you look out, you'll see an item and a bog Vicar Amelia. And heading out after the items, you can get a Titanite shard. Off in this corner, you can get the Nameless Knight set. And another 2 Titanite shards. You might want to be careful with the timing because they can turn around and see you. But it's not too hard to make it back. And if you look around, there's this giant building here. And on the side of the building, there are these 3 little slug enemies with a ladder. By them is a Wolf's Blood Swordgrass, which is for a Covenant. And then the Sunlight Talisman and a heal. Now, I would suggest not getting rid of any Covenant items, even if you're not going to join a Covenant, just because they do give rewards. Like, every Covenant gives a reward if you offer 10, and then another reward if you offer 30. So, it can be good to keep that in mind. But you head up the right side here. You got this little guy who gives a twinkling titanite. And then in this corner, one of these things is a bit more obvious than the rest. And you can get Dream Chaser's ashes. And then a bonfire. And there's a wolf there that is for... like, that's just a Covenant. And then there's an elevator here. There's a little bit of weird lighting. I think we're gonna do this upper section, go by Sigurd's armor, and drop that off. And then we can end this part. But heading up. That animation looks so good. Whoa. That grab attack is terrifying. Because it comes out so much faster. He can also throw you off the map. Yep. Yep. Like, if you look at... say, take the Dark Raids, for example. The Dark Raids are very, very fast enemies. Very fast, very aggressive. But despite them being very fast, their grab attack is very slow. And so it's very easy to avoid it because it's really slow. And very telegraphed. Not really the same for this guy. It comes out quick. It doesn't have a super big tail. It can be difficult to spot. But he's not super difficult. Also, his legs can crumble sometimes, which is kind of funny. But you take him out, you get Soul of a Stray Demon, and he's also protecting 2 embers, one of which we picked up, and a great axe. There's also something else later on, but you don't get that just yet. You have to come here much, much, much later in the game. You have to beat an optional enemy in an optional area that we don't have access to yet. But from here you can look down, and above our head there's one pillar, there's another pillar, there's another pillar. Kinda hard to tell which one is which, but yeah. Where you going, little guy? You doing a little scampering? Well, you die. That's a large Titanite shard. And you die. That is a second large Titanite shard. And here you get Lightning Spear. Here you get Dragon Crush Shield. And here's a dead dragon. And that section up there is where the Undead Settlement bonfire is. And that's where you meet Yul. So these two areas are much closer than you might initially think. And also, you want to run off to the right there. So that way, this thing doesn't go up the stairs. Because if it goes up the stairs, things become much harder. At least if you plan on killing it. But there's 3 enemies here. We can take them out. And these are all enemies you see in High Wall of Lothric. They are not big threats. They're all pretty easy pushovers. Not a big deal at all. And then from here you can drop down. And that puts us back to where we were before. And now we can run back and take the elevator down. Like I said, I think we're just going to the other way. I think we're gonna go by Sigurd's set, which would be at Rosaria's bedchamber, and then we can drop that off. Maybe do a few things at Firelink, and then we can end it because I generally like to end things around the 45-minute mark. I think that's a good neutral time. Like, with no editing, just running around. Plenty of time to get stuff done. But not too long.
Oh, you can't resist it, can you? My sumptuous selection.
So let's say we have 29,000. And now we have 14. So that's 15k for the whole thing.
Thanks, good comp.
I didn't skip that dialogue. Just, thanks, good com. So, I guess that's what I am now. I'm not a compeer. But from there, you want to head to Cleansing Chapel. He sells Sigurd's shield, but you actually don't need the shield. You just need the armor. And Sigurd is out here and to the right.
Hello? Hello? Anyone there? Anyone at all? Oh. I know that voice. Just how long has it been? It's me, Siegfried of Katarina. I'm loath to admit it, but I've been had. Someone's swiped my armor. Did you happen to see it anywhere? deepest gratitude. I, Siegfried of Katarina, salute you. With my trusty suit of armor, I'll be out of here in a jiffy. Until we meet again, comrade. No need to worry about me. With my trusty suit of armor, I'll be out of here in a jiffy. Until we meet again, my good friend.
I trust him. But yeah, we have 4 large Titanite shards. So we can get 1 upgrade and then have 2 when we need 4. No one else is around here.
Aha, thou returned. So,
And from the Soul of a Stray Demon, you can get Boulder Heap Pyromancy, which I believe I tried once, and I remember it being garbage. Because it only goes like 3 feet. Like when they use it, it's just this torrential rain of rocks in front of them. When you use it, it's 1 single rock that goes 3 feet in front of you. So it's like if you sneak up on an enemy and you get directly behind them, you can drop it on them, but besides that, there's just much better pyromancies. Or you can get Hovel's Ring for 5,000 souls. Now, Hovel's Ring, as you can see, our max equip load goes from 55 to 63.2. Our weight ratio goes from 52.5 to 46.3. So it's not nearly as impactful as the Dark Souls 1 Hovel's Ring, but still somewhat useful. And here, I don't remember what exactly the Dream Chaser's Ashes gives, but there's everything we have without it.
Ashen one, what woeful umbral ash is this? This barren dust, stuff of a fool, won't yield aught. Where didst thou happen upon the stuff? Tell me for the sport. Oh yes, I see. Clinging to lofty dreams in this dying world, more's the pity. It must come from one most foolish indeed. Wouldst thou not agree?
And here's everything you get with it. Again, I don't know exactly what it gives. I don't care enough to pay attention to that. I do know it gives the life ring, though. Which I believe you can start out with. It's not very good. It's only like 5% more health, something like that. Very simple. Very small. But you never know. Might give something actually useful. But don't need this, don't need this, don't need this, don't need this, don't need this. 1,500 souls, beautiful. Got all the Halberds, don't need that, don't need that. Not using either of those. Not using any of these. Not using any of these. None of these. None of these. Not using spells. Alright.
Ashen 1. Oh.
So, I mentioned it last time, but want to move over to the Lucerne because it gives more variety.
Ah, 'tis one. Well, well. What's the undead legion doing with a coal such as this? I'd heard one of the crystal sages had sided with Farron's abyss watchers. I suppose it must be true. You should know, this coal is imbued with magic. First one I've ever seen. Hardly a surprise, is it? I've never been one for books or wise men.
Alright, but we can upgrade the Lucerne and
Pretty like that.
real quick we can throw this on and look at the damage. 207 compared to 205, so Halberd does 2 more damage, but again, this has a side sweeping light attack, so it has a bit less range though. But again, it's kind of going back and forth, but
Tis what?
I think Lucerne is the way to go. So, we got that.
Pretty like that.
Now, those two Sage's Scroll and Golden Scroll, we could give those to Orbeck if we got him. He'd be here, but we only have 9 intelligence, and I'm not wasting a level of intelligence. So,
Oh, and in one. Goodbye. Oh,
can we level up with you? I don't think so.
I be safe.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get some levels with him by jumping off the cliff.
Gaining admission.
We already did that.
Welcome. Very well. Then hey.
5, 5.
Manifestations of
7, 7.
farewell, Ashen Maid.
Alright. But, yeah, once you take out Abyss Watchers, if you don't have, which is the next boss, if you don't have 5 levels from them, then he dies and his quest is just done. Which, considering we only have 1 hollowing, that means we only have 1 level from him. And so, I'm going to jump off a cliff a few times in order to get some free levels from him, in order to continue his quest. So, I will do that without wasting your time, and yeah.